Hello everyone, I am Samantha Shalane Y. Rivera of BSN2D from University of Rizal System, Taytay. And thank you for joining me today to explore a topic that is not only important but absolutely vital to the future of our planet and all its inhabitants. The subject we are diving into today is the importance of biodiversity and symbiosis of our society with science, nature, and its well-being. In the next few minutes, we will explore the critical importance of biodiversity, its role in sustaining ecosystems, and how it benefits our everyday lives. We will also look at how the natural world is interdependent through symbiosis, and why the health of one species can affect the well-being of many others, including us. From the smallest microorganisms to the largest forest, everything plays a part, and each piece of the puzzle is integral to the stability and functioning of life on Earth. As we journey through today's discussion, we'll learn about the intimate relationships between species and how their mutual dependence strengthens ecosystems. By the end, you will see how science and nature are not separate entities, but deeply intertwined, and how protecting one protects the other. Most importantly, you'll understand why now, more than ever, we need to recognize our role in maintaining the balance of life and take active steps to safeguard it. First, let's define biodiversity. So, what is biodiversity? It is a term you hear often, but what does it truly mean? At its core, biodiversity refers to the variety of life on Earth. This includes not only the vast array of plants, animals, and microorganisms, but also the ecosystems they form and roles they play within those ecosystems. From the smallest bacteria in the soil to the towering trees in the rainforest, every living organism contributes to the intricate web of life that sustains our planet. But biodiversity is much more than just a list of species or ecosystems. It's the foundation of the natural world that supports life as we know it. Each species, each ecosystem is a part of a delicate and interconnected system that works together to provide the services we rely on daily. These services include things like clean air, fresh water, fertile soil, and climate regulation, all of which are crucial for our survival. But here's the question: why does biodiversity matter? The first and most fundamental reason biodiversity matters is the ecosystem services it provides. These are the natural benefits humans derive from healthy ecosystems. Think about the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, and even the clothes you wear. All of these are products of biodiversity. Healthy ecosystems act as nature's infrastructure, supporting life by regulating our climate, filtering our water, and purifying the air. Another reason biodiversity is so vital is its economic value. Many industries depend directly on biodiversity for resources and services. Agriculture, for example, relies on the diversity of plant species to grow food, and more importantly, on pollinators, bees, butterflies, and birds, who help fertilize crops by transferring pollen from one flower to another. Without these pollinators, many of the world's crops would fail. Similarly, pharmaceutical companies rely on biodiversity for the discovery of new medicines. Many of our most important drugs have been derived from plants, fungi, and animals. The cancer drug paclitaxel, for example, comes from the bark of the Pacific yew tree. We are only beginning to scratch the surface of what could be discovered in the world's plants and microorganisms. The loss of biodiversity could mean the loss of potential cure for diseases. Biodiversity also has a profound impact on culture. Many cultures and societies draw inspiration from nature, integrating its beauty into art, traditions, and spiritual practices. For centuries, Forests, rivers, and oceans have been sources of inspiration for artists, writers, musicians, and poets. In many indigenous cultures, animals and plants have symbolic or spiritual significance, forming the basis of cultural traditions and worldviews. Biodiversity shapes our identity as humans, often grounding us in a sense of place. Indigenous communities, for instance, have developed deep relationships with the land, respecting and conserving the biodiversity that sustains their livelihoods. These cultures have invaluable knowledge of local species and ecosystems, knowledge that is passed down through generations. For your additional knowledge, did you know that 75% of global crops depend on pollinators like bees, butterflies, and bats, yet many pollinator species are declining rapidly? So did you know why? So it is due to habitat destruction, pesticide use, and climate change. But without these pollinators, many of our most important crops, such as fruits, vegetables, and nuts, could face significant reductions in yield, directly impacting food security around the world. Now that we've established the critical importance of biodiversity, let's turn our focus to science, the powerful tool we use to understand, protect, and enhance biodiversity. Science plays an integral role in not only measuring the state of biodiversity, but also in developing solutions to the challenges that threaten it. So let's talk about how science contributes to understanding biodiversity. So, science provides us with the knowledge to track and monitor the many components of biodiversity. Through research and observation, scientists can evaluate the health of ecosystems, assess the status of endangered species, and understand the intricate relationships between organisms and their environments. One of the primary ways science helps is by monitoring species and ecosystems over time. Monitoring involves tracking changes in populations of different species, measuring shifts in ecosystems, and observing the impact of environmental factors like climate change, deforestation, and human intervention. For example, scientists use advanced technology like satellite imagery, drones, and remote sensors to monitor large-scale ecosystems such as forests, oceans, and wetlands. For instance, biologists have used camera traps to track elusive animal populations like tigers and snow leopards. These camera traps provide invaluable data on population sizes, movement patterns, and breeding habits. With this data, scientists can assess whether species are at risk and recommend conservation actions. Another area where science plays a significant role is in understanding genetic diversity, which is the variation in genes within a species. Genetic diversity is crucial not only for the survival and adaptability of species in a changing world, but also for human innovation. In agriculture, scientists are studying the genetics of crops to develop more resilient varieties that can withstand diseases, pests, and extreme weather conditions. For example, research into the genetic makeup of wheat and rice has led to the development of drought-resistant crops, which is vital in regions affected by climate change and water scarcity. In medicine, genetic research has led to the discovery of new bioactive compounds that can be used in treatments. The well-known drug penicillin, which has saved millions of lives, was originally derived from a mold species, showing how genetic research in microorganisms can lead to breakthrough medicines. Furthermore, biotechnology is leveraging genetic diversity to combat diseases in humans and animals, as seen with the gene editing technologies like CRISPR, which are being used to treat genetic disorders. Now, Let's take a look at some of the scientific initiatives that have been designed to address the loss of biodiversity, specifically focusing on species protection and ecosystem restoration. These efforts show how science is actively working to reverse the damage done to biodiversity and prevent further losses. The first one is the conservation biology. It is the field of science dedicated to protecting species, their habitats, and the ecosystems they depend on. One powerful example of conservation biology is the work being done to save the Philippine eagle, one of the rarest and most endangered birds in the world. The Philippine eagle, also known as the monkey-eating eagle, has a population of fewer than 400 individuals in the wild, primarily due to deforestation and hunting. Scientists, conservationists, and local communities are working together to protect the species through habitat restoration and by reducing human-wildlife conflict. Conservationists have set up protected areas and have been actively engaged in breeding programs, while community outreach programs educate the public on the importance of protecting this majestic bird. This example illustrates how science is vital in both understanding the challenges species face and creating effective strategies for their survival. The next one is restoring habitats. Coral reefs, often referred to as the rainforest of the sea, are another critical area of focus for biodiversity preservation. Coral reefs support about 25% of marine life, but they are facing unprecedented threats from climate change, ocean acidification, and pollution. As ocean temperatures rise, coral bleaching occurs, a phenomenon in which coral loses its vibrant colors and its ability to support marine life. In response, scientists have developed innovative technologies to restore coral reefs. One such approach involves growing coral larvae in laboratories and then transplanting them back onto the reef. Researchers are also experimenting with genetically modified corals that are more resistant to temperature changes. These scientific efforts aim to restore reefs that have been damaged by human activities and climate change, ensuring that future generations can continue to rely on them for ecological and economic services. Scientists are also studying the symbiotic relationships between corals and algae, which are essential to the health of reefs. Understanding these interactions is key to developing more resilient coral species. Now, let's talk about collaborations for sustainable solutions. While science plays an essential role in understanding and protecting biodiversity, collaboration is just as important. The most effective solutions come when scientists, policymakers, and local communities work together. The complex nature of biodiversity means that addressing its loss requires input and cooperation from various stakeholders, including governments, NGOs, local communities, and businesses. Scientists and policymakers. Scientists work alongside policymakers to create laws and regulations that protect biodiversity. For example, international agreements like the Convention on Biological Diversity, or CBD, that aim to promote sustainable development and the conservation of biodiversity. Governments, based on scientific research, can enact policies that protect ecosystems, limit deforestation, or reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. However, the scientific community must communicate its findings effectively so that policies are informed by the best available data. Next is communities and local efforts. Local communities are at the forefront of conservation efforts. In many parts of the world, indigenous communities have been managing and protecting their natural resources for generations. Science can support these traditional practices by providing data that helps improve their effectiveness or by offering innovative solutions to modern challenges. For instance, community-based marine conservation initiatives where local fishers collaborate with scientists to implement sustainable fishing practices have been successful in restoring fish populations and protecting coral reefs. As we move forward, it's crucial that we continue to invest in scientific research, support conservation efforts, and recognize the critical role that biodiversity plays in our lives. The more we understand, the better equipped we will be to protect the incredible diversity of life on Earth. Let's now dive into one of the most profound concepts in understanding the relationship between society and nature, the concept of symbiosis. Symbiosis, in biological terms, refers to a close and often mutually beneficial relationship between two or more organisms. This relationship can range from mutualism, where both parties benefit, to parasitism, where one benefits at the expense of the other. When we think about society and nature, we often think of them as separate entities, human living in cities, and nature out in the wild. But in reality, society and nature are deeply intertwined in a symbiotic relationship. Our survival, prosperity, and overall well-being are intricately tied to the health of the ecosystems around us. In other words, we depend on nature, not just for resources like food and water, but for our physical health, mental well-being, and even the resilience of our communities. So what are the benefits of a healthy symbiosis between society and nature? The first one is physical health. Have you ever taken a walk in a park or spent time in a forest and felt a sense of relief or calm? Well, there's a scientific reason for that. Green spaces, areas filled with plants, trees, and other natural elements, are more than just aesthetically pleasing. They are a critical component of a healthy urban ecosystem. Studies have shown that spending time in nature can significantly reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and boost immune function. The next one is mental health. In our modern world where stress levels are rising and mental health disorders like anxiety and depression are increasingly common, nature offers a remedy. Research into nature therapy, sometimes called ecotherapy, has shown that spending time in natural environments can alleviate symptoms of mental health disorders, whether through activities like forest bathing and nature walks in local parks. Immersing oneself in nature has been shown to have restorative effects on our mental state. Nature therapy works by engaging the mind and senses, reducing mental fatigue, and helping us feel more connected to the world around us. It promotes mindfulness and helps individuals focus on the present moment, which can be incredibly helpful in combating the distraction and stresses of modern life. Studies have even found that just spending 20 minutes in a natural environment can improve the mood and reduce levels of cortisol, the stress hormone in the body. Next, community resilience. Biodiversity is not only essential for our individual well-being, but also for the resilience of our communities. A healthy, biodiverse environment strengthens societies by providing a natural buffer against environmental disasters such as floods, droughts, and hurricanes. Biodiversity helps maintain the balance of the ecosystems that regulate our climate, protect our soil, and preserve our water resources. As we face an era of rapid environmental changes such as climate change, deforestation, and resource depletion. Maintaining and protecting biodiversity is more important than ever. Communities that foster biodiversity are inherently more adaptable, making them better equipped to navigate the uncertainties of the future. Now, let's move on to the challenges to the symbiosis between society and nature. So unfortunately, the delicate balance between society and nature is under threat. Human activity has significantly altered ecosystems, often disrupting the mutually beneficial relationship we share with the environment. Some of the biggest challenges include overexploitation, overharvesting of natural resources such as fishing, logging, and mining is leading to the depletion of species and habitats. When species are overexploited, entire ecosystems can collapse, leaving human societies with fewer resources and fewer natural services to rely on. Next, deforestation. Forests, which are home to a significant portion of the world's biodiversity, are being destroyed at alarming rates due to agriculture, logging, and urbanization. This not only disrupts local wildlife populations, but also contributes to climate change by releasing large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Deforestation affects indigenous communities who depend on forests for their livelihoods, and it exacerbates environmental challenges like soil erosion and water scarcity. Next, pollution. Pollution from industrial activities, agriculture, and urban waste is contaminating air, water, and soil, affecting ecosystems worldwide. The contamination of natural resources directly impacts human health and reduces the overall quality of life. The presence of harmful chemicals in our environment, such as pesticides and plastics, affects everything from the health of pollinators to the quality of our drinking water. And the last one, climate change. The effect of climate change: rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, more frequent extreme weather events are putting immense pressure on ecosystems and biodiversity. Species that cannot adapt these rapid changes face extinction, while human communities must contend with altered agricultural seasons, more severe natural disasters, and a changing climate that can affect livelihoods. To restore and maintain the healthy symbiosis between society and nature, we must take action. So here are the few ways we can contribute. The first one, reforestation. Planting trees and restoring degraded forests is one of the most effective ways to combat climate change and preserve biodiversity. Reforestation not only helps restore ecosystems, but also provides economic opportunities for local communities through sustainable forestry and ecotourism. Next is responsible consumption. Reducing waste, especially plastic waste, and choosing sustainable products can significantly lessen our environmental impact. Supporting companies and businesses that prioritize sustainability and ethical practices helps to reduce the strain on natural resources. And lastly, community conservation projects. Local communities play an essential role in conservation efforts. By supporting local conservation initiatives like marine protection programs or wildlife research, we can ensure that these ecosystems continue to thrive. Involvement in grassroots efforts such as community-based farming, wildlife protection programs, and ecotourism can also provide local communities with the tools to protect their natural heritage. To sum up, the symbiosis between society and nature is a vital, dynamic relationship that sustains the well-being of both humans and the planet. From physical health benefits to community resilience and the mental well-being, the natural world plays an irreplaceable role in our lives. However, the challenges we face, overexploitation, pollution, deforestation, and climate change, are real and pressing. To protect this relationship, we must take responsibility and embrace sustainable practices. It's time for all of us, scientists, policymakers, communities, and individuals, to act. Together, we can restore balance, protect biodiversity, and ensure that society continues to thrive in harmony with nature. As we reach the final part of this presentation, I want you to imagine a world where our cities, forests, oceans, and wildlife coexist in harmony, where the balance between human progress and nature's health is not just maintained, but celebrated. A future that is built on respect, responsibility, and innovation. This vision is possible, but it requires each of us to step up and take action. It is not enough to simply be aware of the issues. We must become a part of the solution. The power of change lies in our collective efforts by making international choices and pushing for positive change. We can pave the way for a sustainable future. So what can we do right now to make this vision a reality? Let's look at some practical steps we can take. So here are the practical steps for a better future. The first one, support biodiversity-friendly initiatives. A great place to start is by supporting and promoting biodiversity-friendly initiatives. This could be as simple as choosing ecotourism, options that are designed to have minimal environmental footprint and actively contribute to conservation efforts. Instead of traveling to places where nature is exploited, consider destinations that prioritize sustainability, wildlife protection, and community involvement in conservation. Beyond travel, we can also embrace zero-waste living and make sustainable choices in our daily lives. By reducing our consumption of single-use plastics, supporting businesses that focus on sustainable materials, and reusing and recycling as much as possible, we can reduce the strain on ecosystems. Supporting companies and organizations that advocate for environmentally responsible practices sends a message that you want to live in a world where biodiversity is valued. The next one is participate in local conservation efforts. Another impactful way to support biodiversity is actively engaging in local conservation efforts. There are so many ways you can get involved no matter where you live. You could participate in tree planting initiatives, habitat restoration projects, or cleanup activities in local parks, rivers, and beaches. These hands-on efforts help rebuild natural habitats, prevent pollution, and ensure that local wildlife has a healthy environment to thrive in. Today, we explored how biodiversity shapes our world, how science drives progress, and how symbiosis between nature and society is the key to well-being. These three interconnected concepts, biodiversity, scientific advancement, and the vital relationship between humanity and nature, are fundamental to understanding the challenges and opportunities facing our planet. Recognizing this interconnectedness is a crucial first step towards building a sustainable future. The responsibility for this future rests with each of us. Let's act now to protect our shared environment. Let's work together to create a future where both humanity and nature thrive. Thank you for listening.